Africa holds 30% of the world's minerals and makes 3% of the world's products. Sit with that for a second. 30% of the treasure, 3% of the value. That gap, that missing 27%, is not a mystery. It's not a curse. It's a scale that has been held out of balance for a very long time. And today, I'm going to show you the receipt that proves it can be corrected. Because one country already did it. And parts of Africa are already copying it. Before we start, like this video and subscribe. Not for me. Every like pushes this into one more feed. And this is the kind of information that travels hand to hand. Now, the receipt. In the way of the feather, we start with sesh. Observe, facts only. Fact. In 2020, Indonesia banned the export of raw nickel ore. Not reduced it. Banned it. If you wanted Indonesian nickel, you now had to process it in Indonesia. Build the smelter there. Hire there. Add the value there. The world said it would fail. Investors would flee. The economy would suffer. Here's what actually happened. Before the ban, Indonesia exported around $3 billion of raw nickel a year. A few years after the ban, over $30 billion in processed nickel products. Not 3.3, 30, roughly 10 times the value, from the same rock, the same ground, the same people. Nothing new was dug up. The only thing that changed was where the transformation happened. That is not a theory. That is a receipt. And receipts change what leaders are allowed to imagine. Now ask the feather question. Chef, what is missing? When Africa exports raw cocoa and imports chocolate, raw lithium and imports batteries, raw bauxite and imports aluminum sheets, what's missing is not effort. Millions of people are working. What's missing is not resources. We just said 30%. What's missing is one specific step, the transformation step, the smelter, the refinery, the factory between the mine and the market. Whoever owns that step owns almost all of the value. And for 70 years, that step has been built everywhere except where the minerals come out of the ground. An unbalanced scale is not fate. In Kemet, they had a word for imbalance that gets treated as normal, isfet. The first move against isfet is simply to name it. So name it. The scale is unbalanced and the missing piece is the transformation step. Here's what most people don't know. This is already moving, not as a dream, as policy, on 3 fronts. Watch the momentum. Front 1, the lithium bans. In December 2022, Zimbabwe banned the export of raw lithium ore. 2023, Namibia banned the export of unprocessed lithium and other critical minerals. These are direct copies of the Indonesia play. Same move, same logic, applied to the mineral the electric car century runs on. Will it be messy? Yes, Indonesia's was messy too. Messy is what correction looks like while it's happening. Front 2, fertilizer. Africa imports most of its fertilizer, while sitting on some of the world's largest phosphate reserves. That's the same imbalance, but pointed at food. Now look at what's moving. Morocco is expanding phosphate processing into one of the biggest fertilizer operations on Earth. Nigeria built one of the largest fertilizer plants in the world and started exporting. Feed your own soil first, and every harvest after that compounds. Front 3, value addition, taking back the middle step. Botswana renegotiated with the diamond industry, so more cutting and polishing happens at home, not in Antwerp. Ghana and Ivory Coast, who grow most of the world's cocoa but capture only a sliver of the chocolate value, are pushing processing plants and coordinating prices. Guinea is requiring refineries as a condition for bauxite mining. Three fronts, same move, the transformation step, coming home. Now, Sif, does the fix actually fit? Test it honestly, because feel-good answers are how plans die. A ban alone is not the fix. Indonesia's ban worked because the processing capacity got built. A ban without a smelter is just a wall. A smelter without power is just a shell. The piece has to fit the system. Energy, skills, roads, and patient capital, sequenced in the right order. That's why the feather teaches Hotep the smallest correction that restores function. Not everything at once. One refinery that actually runs. One corridor that actually ships. One deal renegotiated from a position of receipts, not requests. And now the piece nobody else is talking about. The Watchtower. Every system that stays in balance has one thing in common. It measures its own drift. Your body does it. That's why you have a temperature. A pilot does it. That's the instrument panel. But where is the instrument panel for a nation's resources? Who is watching, in real time, whether the value from each ton of lithium, each ton of cocoa, is drifting home or drifting away? Right now, mostly nobody. Deals get signed, decades pass, and the drift gets discovered too late, in a report nobody reads. So here is the idea worth building. A watchtower, an early warning system for resource drift, public dashboards that track, country by country, mineral by mineral, what left raw, what left processed, and where the transformation happened, a balance point defined, and an alarm that fires when the drift crosses the line. Simple signals. Public, impossible to unsee. Because here's the pattern in everything we've covered. Indonesia corrected because someone measured. Zimbabwe moved because someone counted. The scale only gets rebalanced when someone is watching the scale. If you work in data, in policy, in finance, this is the piece with your name on it. It doesn't need a government to start. It needs a spreadsheet, honesty, and stubbornness. Let's close the way the feather always closes, with the scale. 30% of the minerals, 3% of the products. That's not destiny, that's drift. And drift, once named and measured, can be corrected. One country showed the receipt. Three fronts are already moving. The missing piece is not permission. It's the watchtower and the patience to build one correction at a time. Sesh. Observe the numbers. Chef. Name the missing step. Sif. Test what fits. Hotep. Make the smallest true correction. Shems. Act. And keep watching the scale. The scale is older than the fear, and it belongs to you by root, not by receipt. This is the way of the feather. If this loosened something in you, subscribe and stay. This channel is where we do this work. And keep your heart light.